Okay, we are live. All right, let people come in. How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining. South Korea. Oh, I think that might be a first, unless you've been here before. Thanks for hanging out. What time is it in South Korea right now? I'm guessing you guys are a day ahead of me or something like that. All right. So as we get people coming in, I just wanted to let you all know. Um, I don't do a ton of this self-promotion stuff, but um I did start a Patreon. If you want to check it out, I put a link in there's a link in my bio on Instagram. There's a link in the description below the YouTube feed. So people were asking about it. So I decided to revamp the Patreon. So if you are interested in that, then feel free to check it out. And if not, that's cool too. It's no stress. But I thought I'd mention the Patreon, the new Patreon. So cool. We got someone from Rwanda. Wow, where is that? Is I don't even know where Mauritius is. I don't think I'm even saying that correctly. And then someone from South Korea. Someone asked me, I think already, Colin, what neck strap is this? This is the Balaam strap from Boston Sax. I've just been messing with it recently. I've been playing with different neck straps, see what I like. And boring old New York City. Yeah, right. That's not boring. City that never sleeps, man. It's what is it? Shoot, it's what, almost 11 o'clock out there. Thanks for joining me. I love New York City. It's where all the greats are, most of them. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. I borrowed this from my buddy Steve. So it's not mine, but I just like trying it out. I gotta probably give it back to him. So today I have a line. Let me get my iPad out. So I was gonna do like a voice leading thing today. I was gonna have to wait till next week. I know I'm a little late today, and then I was trying to get stuff set up. YouTube wasn't working. I don't want to bore you all with the details, but um, I'll go over. I wanted to go over a line and talk about the quarter note triplet thing. I don't know if any of you heard the quarter note triplet line that I played. It was like maybe last week I posted on it. And it wasn't a 2-5 of the day, but I'll post it as a 2-5 of the day so you guys can all see it and see it written out. But I wanted to talk about that, or just in general quarter note triplet ideas, because I think they're really fun and I think they can be really useful in changing up your rhythmic diversity and your rhythmic palette. For instance, like palette meaning like you have eighth notes, you have 16th notes, you have triplets, right? You have eighth note triplets, you have 16th, well, maybe not 16th note triplets, but you have eighth note triplets, you got quarter note triplets, you got half notes you can hold out, you have quarter notes. So just being able to change that rhythmic diversity. So I want to go over let's go over two things today. Sorry, I'm looking around for my metronome because kind of need that. Oh, here it is. Couldn't see it because the mic was in the way. And also put any questions that you have in the box, because we'll do a Q&A like usual. If you guys are curious about anything or want me to talk about anything that you're curious about, I totally want to get into that. As always, like I always appreciate the questions and anything I can help you with outside of the 2-5 stuff. I'm more than happy to. So let's talk about quarter note triplets. How do we make quarter note triplets? How do we hear them? How do we play them? And so I want to go over just how I think of quarter note triplets, and if you ever get stuck, then this is a good way to think about it. Let me erase my board real quick because this was something else I was working on. But it'll be good to see visually as well. So, and I'll draw something out in a second to show you all. So I'm gonna play the metronome at 60. This is 60 beats per minute, and this is a loud metronome. So I apologize if it's really loud on Instagram. It probably will be fine on YouTube. Hopefully YouTube, you guys can hear me okay. So here's a quarter note. Here's on the beat, 60 beats per minute. Okay. And so I'm hearing eighth note triplets now. Think about eighth note triplets. So it's ba ba da do da da what, or like if you want to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 2 3 1 2 3. However you like to subdivide. Some people say like one ta ti. Some people use different syllables. I just think of da 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 ti da da. So I'm just thinking of like what does that click sound like in my head. So let's do that again. Da 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 dee da da dee da da ba 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 doo da. Settle into it. Sometimes I start a little faster than settle into it. Ba 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 dee da da dee da da ba ba ba. Now try to get into the quarter note triplet feel. So here's the quarter note triplet. So if this is 1 2 3 4, we're gonna hit 1 and 3 each time right on it. So it sounds like this. Da dee ga dee da da dee da da dee da da dee da da. Okay, so that's the quarter note triplet. But so how do you get to the quarter note triplet? Like how do you get to hear that? How do you lock into that? And it's not the easiest thing right off the bat, but here's how you want to hear it. Let me draw this real quick so you can see it, and it'll make a lot more sense. And then I'm going to sing it a little bit differently. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to go. So basically, here's our triplets. Here's our triplets. Okay. Hopefully you guys can all see this. Here's our triplets here. Okay. And as you can see, I've accented the every other triplet. Okay, I'm going to try to fit you all both. I'm going to try to fit this on both screens. So I'm going to back up a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about this. This is how you get a quarter note triplet into your ears and into your playing eventually. So here it is. Okay, there's my click. Dot 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 dee dot dot dee dot dot dee dot dot. So now I'm gonna accent where it says to accent. So I'm gonna go dee dot dee dot dee dot dee dot dee dot dee dot bop 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 bop. So I'm accenting every other one. I was rushing a little bit there. Let me do it again. Dot 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 dee dot dot. Now I'm gonna accent. Dot do 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 dot do. I'm still rushing just a little bit. I'm rushing a little, but if you sing this, let me quiet this loud beep. If you start singing this and you think bop boop bop boop bop boop bop boop bop, and then you slowly take away that lesser accent, because it's easy to sing triplets, eighth note triplets, dot 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 dee dot dot dee dot. But if you start accenting bop boop bop boop bop boop bop, then you start getting that quarter note triplet to pop out. Ba do ga dee da da dot 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 dee da da. So, and then you can use different tones like I'm doing. I'm going be ba ba dee ba ba. So I'm hearing that as a big triplet, right? So this whole thing, this right here, boom boom boom, that is your quarter note triplet. Boom boom boom. Okay? And that is how you get that feel, right? That's how you get that new rhythm. And it takes a little bit of time. I don't want to like bore you all with well, hopefully it's not boring, but hopefully I want you guys to think about this, and in a way that's going to totally getting you thinking in a new way, in a new rhythmic way, right? So I love this stuff. Like, and I'm going to show you kind of some stuff that I do with this. Hey Tracy, nice to see you. We're talking about quarter note triplets. For anybody who's joined and left and come back, whatever, we're talking about quarter note triplets and how to play them, how to find them through eighth note triplets. And this is kind of my little I don't know, what would I call this, a cheat sheet or something. But hello Stevio. So this is one way to, or a really good way to really track how quarter note triplets feel. So you can, so what I did was I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. I'm going to put this on 80 now. It's upside down. No, I know it's upside down. So, or maybe it's backwards. It's probably backwards, but because it's a reflective thing, but hey, that's what we got to work with. Either way, forward or backward, it still works. I think. But anyways, you're accenting every other eighth note triplet. So if we have our eighth note triplets here, right? So we're going datu 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 dot 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 d dot dot d dot dot d dot dot. I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna go back to this accenting. Datu 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 da d da d da da d da da datu 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 da. So that's how you get that. That's how you get that that Cornrow triplet. So it's even, and it's actually hitting on the proper, you're not, it's even is the best way to describe it. You don't want it hitting all over the place. You want it to be consistent. So how do we start practicing this? How do we bring this to our instruments or to our horn? Thanks, James. Oh, okay. So on YouTube, it looks correct. So I think because I'm using the camera, the selfie cam on IG, that's what's happening. So either way, start by accenting the first triplet. You're skipping the second, and then you're accenting the third. Then you're skipping the first triplet of the next eighth note triplet, and you're hitting the second triplet. So you're basically accenting every other eighth note triplet to get the quarter note triplet sound and this quarter note triplet rhythm. Julian asks on Instagram, practicing singing to get the rhythm. Totally. I practice singing for almost everything. Maybe I'll do this whole Bembe rhythm 12/8 thing sometime here where I'm singing, clapping, and stomping my foot all at the same time to really get these rhythms inside of me. I think singing is the best way, for me at least. Hearing it and feeling it is the best way to actually get it into my, like, actually into my soul, I guess, or into my inner, inner ear, inner mind, inner musician. I don't even know. But the singing part of it, like, it takes less coordination, right? If you're just singing something, you're not having to worry about what notes do I need to hit on my saxophone or on the keyboard or whatever. I'm simplifying things is pretty much what I'm saying. I'm simplifying things down to very minute things so I can actually get it right. And once I get it right, then I can bring the horn into it. And now I'm going to bring my horn into it, and I'm also going to keep things very simple, right? So I'm not going to just jump into trying to play like some crazy line or a bunch of notes randomly. I might just start with a triad, right? So maybe we just start with diatonic triads. So meaning diatonic triads are, for anybody that has any questions on it, it's just basically playing a scale. So here's F concert. That's F major concert. So I'm playing the scale and I'm building a triad off of each note, from each mode. So it sounds like this. Right? So if I do that, and that's something that's really familiar. And if diatonic triads are not familiar to you, then use anything that is familiar to you. So you might just want to pick 3 notes. So maybe I just pick 3 notes at first. I'm going to pick randomly. I'm just going to pick a major triad, right? Just a major triad's fine. So I'm going to pick a F major triad, what we just played, since that's all in our ears. And I'm going to play the quarter note triplet on F major triad, and I'm just going to repeat that. So I got to get this in my head. Those are eighth note triplets I'm singing now. Now I'm going to lock into a quarter note triplet. Da go ga di ba ga di da. So I'm going to play just an F major triad in quarter note triplets now here. Right? And now maybe I want to work my way up diatonically. So I'm going to go up diatonically. Here we go. Right? So I just went up. I went up to the B. Maybe I want to do it one up, one down. How does that sound? Okay. So I'm doing something I don't really have to think too much about, and I'm keeping the rhythm, the integrity of the rhythm really, really accurate. And then that might turn into something different, right? So that's kind of like, so that's the beginning of your exploration with this stuff. Get the rhythm down, make sure you have the notes down before you start putting rhythms into it. You want to have, both pieces of the puzzle together, or both pieces of the puzzle separately, and then put them together, and then start exploring. So what if I did that, and now instead of triads, I do sevenths? Ooh. Okay, so you might be thinking, oh, well, sevenths, if I do a seventh, I have 1, 3, 5, and 7. That's 4 notes. But I'm playing quarter note triplets. This is where stuff gets really cool. Because now we have a 4-note pattern, or a 4-note cell, let's call it, and we're playing it over a triple meter. So things are going to get a little off, which sounds really cool, I think. And these are the types of things that I think make some of the great players like really, really great and stand out in my mind. And also it's a game, right? It's having fun with music, figuring out how to get these sounds into your playing, but it needs to happen here first, like in the practice room. So let me try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up like an F major, and then I'm going to go down the 2 minor. So I'm going to go up F major, down G minor. I'm going to go up A minor, and basically do one ascending, one descending. And then I'm just going to kind of do that for a second. And I can go up and down. I can change directions whenever I want. But this is just, I'm going to just try to keep the integrity of it, and show you guys. So here we go. So like I said, I'll get the quarter note triplet in my head. I have eighth note triplets in my head already going. Now I'll sing quarter note triplets. Da ga di da da. So make sure you got that locked in. And this gets a little bit funky because things start getting accented differently, or things start getting off a little bit. Ready? Di da da. There's the quarter note triplet. All right, so I was just about on there. So yeah, again. So you can hear how these things get really, really fun really fast, but you want to have the foundation of actually feeling the rhythm, hearing the rhythm, and because then things won't sound quite right if you don't know where 1 and 3 are, for instance. It makes it really difficult if you're not hearing 1 and 3, or if you're not hearing the quarter note triplet continually going in your head. It gets really hard, and you might struggle with it. So that's why I say, like, do so much stuff without the instrument first. Don't even worry about the instrument. Worry about actually hearing the rhythm. Just like when you hear a line, like if you hear a line that's like, or whatever. I mean, that was just, I don't know. If you hear this, like, all right, so just that line, when you hear that, you have like something to go off of, right? Um, just like rhythms. Like if you hear a rhythm, then you can do something with it. Like if you hear a rhythm that's like ba ba dee da dee da 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 dee, like you can make, if we play that rhythm, like it doesn't have to, now you can put any notes to it you want. Right? I mean, so, oh, we got a video request. Okay. Let's do a hi from Sicily. Ciao. I don't know much Italian, but I am Italian. All right. Let's see. We got a video request. Let's see what's going on. We'll accept this video request. All right. Let's see. Jean-Pierre. Let's see, is he coming on? Nope, I don't know what happened. All right. Well, oh, we do have it. Here we go. Oh, where'd he go? No, I don't know what happened. Well, Jean-Pierre, if you want to request again, please feel free. I'm not sure what happened. Um, so the next thing we want to do is like I said, you can get creative with how you want to use this quarter note triplet, right? How do you want to use it? Like how do you use it in your playing? How can you use it in a tune? Um, here's a tune I've been playing is I'll Be Seeing You. That's a tune that like looks like or sounds like this. Right? So that's like the first 4 bars. And the changes go, it goes like 1, like a 1 major, then it goes into a 3 dominant, and then it does it and then it basically goes to the 2 chord. So if I wanted to like make this a quarter note triplet thing um with it, maybe I start with some uh I start with just some triads and try to make it sound good. I'm only going to change one note um, over the first 2 bars, and then I'll change a little bit more as I get to the third and fourth bar. So, oh, Oliver, Foo Oliver, thank you so much for the kind words. As I mentioned earlier, I'll mention it one more time after this time, since we have people coming and going. I did start a Patreon. If you want to check it out in the YouTube description below, there should be a link. And then in my bio on Instagram, there's a link directly to the Patreon. If you want to subscribe to any of them, it's cool. I think I did it in a good way. You're up for free merch, free lessons. Any of the content I have on YouTube, obviously you get for free. I can send it to you directly. Free sticker. I'm pretty sure every tier gets a free sticker, which is basically my logo. Do I have any here? I don't have any here, but the top of the page has my logo, and you guys probably know it. It's a little cat playing a saxophone. Um, okay, so the first 4 bars of "I'll Be Seeing You." I'm getting off track. I apologize. Here we go. So I'm just gonna play triads, and so you'll basically hear 2 triads, and then you're gonna hear a note change on the second bar because I'm only playing 6 notes per bar. That's with quarter note triplets. You're only playing 6 notes per bar. So here we go. So dot dot dot. Oh, sorry. Get the eighth note triplets in your head. Da da to di da da di da ba di da da. Here we go. 1, 2, and. All right, so that was basically the first 4 bars, and that's this song. So that was the third bar right there. So let me speed this up just a touch. I'll just go to about 104. All right, so if that's each beat. 2. Now here's the quarter note triplets. All right, that was the first 8 bars. And so this turns into like a really fun game. And hopefully you heard the changes, because I was really not trying to deviate away from the changes and play a couple of color tones here and there, but that was the just the tune. I was staying really keeping the integrity of the tune and then exploring from there. Um, and this is how you start working into your playing. So let's do a quick review. We're like 25 minutes in, and then looks like we have a question. And any other questions, feel free to write them up. But so basically, we talked about the quarter note triplet. How do we find it? We use the eighth note triplets, right? We use eighth note triplets. It's accent every other eighth note. So by that, I know this is backwards on Instagram, so I apologize. You just have to, I don't know, put it up next to a mirror. So if we have our first eighth note of the eighth note triplet, we accent that, we skip the second one, and then we accent the third one. Then we skip the first one of the next grouping and accent the second one. And that gives us our quarter note triplet. Okay, that's how you guys are going to start hearing it. And remember, if this is our, I'm just going to clap on this one. So it's, if we got our, I'll slow it down. If we have our eighth note triplets here, da 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 dee da da dee da da dee da da. Now I'm going to accent every other eighth note. Dee da dee da dee. I'm sorry. Dee da 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 dee. So I'm just singing, and then you take away that lower accent. So it's ba da ga dee ga ga ba 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 be. So okay, so that's that. That's a quick recap. Sorry, it took a little longer than I thought. Then you practice something simple, simple to you. So what's simple to me or simple to Chris Potter is going to be different than whatever simple is to you. Like I know Chris Potter's simple is way beyond anything I can probably do, right? So I'm not going to try to do what Chris Potter uses for quarter note triplets. I'm going to use what I use, what I think I like to sound, and what I can am capable of doing. And then once you mess around with that, maybe mess around with different note groupings. Like I showed you a 4-note grouping to use over it. I showed you a 3-note grouping and a 4-note grouping. You can make a 2-note grouping. You can make a who says you can't do like ascending minor thirds, right? In half steps. That might sound pretty cool. Yeah, it actually would sound really cool. I practiced that before, so it would be cool. And or make a 5-note grouping, but just know it should be attainable for you to do, so you're not struggling with the actual notes. You want to be just thinking purely rhythm. After that, bring it into a tune. Use it for if you're really comfortable with the blues, use it on a blues. If you're really comfortable with I don't know, all the things you are, use it on all the things you are. Whatever tune you like to play. I just showed you on I'll Be Seeing You. That's a tune I've been shedding for a week or so, and I really really love that tune, and it's just ingrained in here. I've been listening to it so much lately. So that's and then from there, try using it. After that, what I would do is I would try going in and out of lines. Right? I would try to what's up, Saxy Roth? um, I would try playing like actual lines, like if you have like a line or a melody, like here, maybe I'll try this real quick. Let me see if I can just play it, do a play along so you guys can actually hear this. It's not going to be great because it's I real B, but let me just play this real quick for you. Um, so here's I'll Be Seeing You. I'll Be Seeing You. I'm going to just play the first half of it, and I'm going to work in quarter note triplets back and forth in between lines and maybe even work in the melody. Okay, so looks like we got a couple of questions lined up. So I'll do this for you real quick. Let me just play half the tune, and then we'll answer questions. Okay, but I hope this is all making sense. And if not, please ask questions about it. And if you dig this type of thing, I will try to do more of it. So here we go. Let's go ahead and hopefully you can hear this. Okay. All right, here we go. So, so that was my attempt to work in melodic lines, mix in quarter note triplets. So yeah, so yeah, so that was that. I hope all that made sense. Matt G Sax is in the house. That kid crushes. Hopefully, maybe he just saw me play. Hopefully not. Hopefully I didn't embarrass myself in front of him. No, I mean that's I mean, you're watching me in real time play something and practice something that I think is usable, that sounds really cool, and that was, that would be, let me work some of that stuff out. Like there was some nice melodic stuff happening there. There were some things that like I'm just trying to force those quarter note triplets in so I can get my ear wrapped around it and let my fingers just move and really hit those rhythms. So Jean-Pierre, you're welcome. Thank you. I don't know if I missed any questions. Let me scroll up real quick and see. I don't think anyone asked any. Um, Either way, I see my friend Stephanie. I doubt she's still here, but hey, how are you, Steph? Okay, so let's answer these questions. Um, okay, so a couple questions. Where'd that question go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Here's a question from Jean-Pierre. Let me put my horn down. Okay, which is better to work these exercises from a music sheet or by ear? Great question. So, I think what you're asking here is like this type of exercise that we're talking about, is it better to do it by ear or by an actual piece of music where you're seeing it? I think there's applications for both. I'm not going to say which one is better because everyone learns differently. So some people are really visual, meaning they need to see some stuff like to really ingest it. And then some people are audio or more like oral, which means they learn like a lot through hearing. And some people are a little bit of both. And then some people are kinesthetic, meaning like they have to actually physically do something to learn. So I think the way I would answer that question is I would try to find out what is the best way you learn. So figure out what is the best way that yourself learns personally. Don't worry about how other people are learning this stuff, but how you specifically need to learn and really help make this stuff stick. The more that you can lead yourself to that type of thing, to that type of learning, the more you're going to get out of your practicing, and the more you're going to get from the teachers that you study with. And if you're open and honest about that, then you can go from there. Um, uh, so with that being said, I do both. I don't sometimes, like when I'm playing something like I showed you, I was playing like I picked a 4-note grouping to play over like a triplet type of rhythm. Sometimes I need to write that out, not necessarily all the notes out, but I need to write out and see where the pattern repeats itself. Like where am I going to hear the pattern repeat itself? And typically it's like you can do some math with all this stuff, and like I am not the most mathematical person like when it comes to music, and some people are. That's why I think a lot of musicians are really good at math, and vice versa. A lot of mathematicians are good at music, but there always will be like a repeat at some point of the pattern, and it'll start back on like a downbeat. So if you can find that and know when you're practicing these things where that's supposed to be, that can also help you. Ultimately, you want to work your way away from looking at stuff visually, and you do want to get it into your ears and into your like memory. So if you need to take the extra step to like read something first to get it, just know that you should get rid of that piece of music that you're reading as quick as possible and get it up here and in here. um that should be your number one priority. Okay, I hope that helps. I think Jean-Pierre had another question, and it is okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll answer this quickly. So Jean-Pierre wrote, "Hello. Due to a bad connection at my place, I missed some of your explanation. Is there anywhere else you can watch this live?" Yes. So I'm on YouTube. I'm actually live on YouTube right here. The YouTube people are right here. Instagram people are right here. I'm trying to talk to both cameras, but I don't always do a great job at that. So all of these live sessions, this is number 29, by the way. This is our 29th week of these 2 5 Tuesday lives, and they can all be, every single one is found on YouTube. It's stored there. There's a playlist for all of them, so you can check it out. I try to do a little description about what we're doing that week, but sometimes it's just a line. Sometimes it's like I had a whole plan for today, but it didn't work out as well as I thought it would. I had some stuff. I started late, and I had YouTube was weird. So, anyways, all of it's on YouTube Live, and it was on my channel. Positively Progressing is the channel. You can find it in my bio on Instagram, or you can just go to YouTube and type in Positively Progressing. There's plenty of stuff there. Great. Thanks, Jean Pierre. Thanks for the question, man. Appreciate you. Okay, so we have another question here. Okay. I don't know what order these come in, so I think this one came in first. I'll get to every question, I promise. What do you think is a great way to work on articulation? That's actually really a really great question. I've been messing around with articulation. No problem, Jean Pierre. Hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. It's a really nice name. What is it? Sabera creates. Okay. Sabera creates. What do you think is a great way to work on articulation? So I say this every week, and I don't mean to be a broken record or whatever that saying is, but listening. So I've been listening a lot to this album right here. Whoop, that album, right? That's the Walter Smith Trio album. And if you listen to Walter Smith the third a lot, he's got like I think one of the funnest, like, playful ways to articulate and play the saxophone. So, and Sonny Rollins also, like, I'm sure he was. I think Walter's like into Sonny Rollins. I mean, who's not into Sonny Rollins? But I think Sonny's into like Eric Dolphy, or excuse me, Walter's into like Eric Dolphy, and I know he's like a bit into Train, but like Sonny Rollins is another great example of someone who, like, the articulation is just like it's like fun. It's not like he doesn't have to do all the bebop articulation. So listening to some of your favorite players is like a really fun way to like try to emulate them and work on their articulation. Like Walter Smith does this thing. I'll play like a scale, like how Walter Smith articulates sometimes. Um, and I'll just play like a minor scale, um, and show you kind of what he does. Like he does this thing where he'll play like a line, like a really pretty line, like he'll do this like almost like he's shutting off like a little bit of the air. I hope that came through okay. Like, but he'll like start a line a certain way and then mix in this like really, really, sometimes it's staccato, sometimes it's like it's kind of that dun dun dun, like it's got this like like this fuzzy, but he's almost like trying to drag the beat a bit. He plays with the time a lot. And Sonny Rollins, when I say Sonny, I'm talking about Sonny Rollins. If I say any other Sonny, I'll make sure I I mention their last name, but when I say Sonny, I mean Sonny Rollins because he's like my favorite of all time. Um, so uh, yeah, so he does this thing where he's almost like subtoning, but he's also making these lines like staccato, but like they're coming through a bit. Sometimes he'll just totally cut one off, like ghost it, but you can kind of hear it. If you listen to this album, this album here, the Walter Smith the Third Trio album, you'll hear a lot of that, And there's two charts or two tracks, I mean, that has Joshua Redman on it. So Josh has like such a different style than Walter. Still amazing like articulation, and Josh's playing is like unbelievable. Of course, he's also one of my favorites of like modern, amazing legends, right? Um, but it's interesting to hear them juxtaposed next to each other, and you can totally hear the difference in the tone, the difference in the way they articulate, and they have their very, very personal styles. So honestly, like when you're warming up, like with something, like if you're warming up with, we talked about diatonic, triads. So if we do that, like diatonic triads, uh, right? That's in D concert. If you guys care, for all that you with perfect pitch, you already know that. But if I wanted to play something in D concert, which is E on tenor, right? Maybe I mess with certain articulations. Like I'm messing around, like trying to do a Walter Smith style type of thing. So I think that's a great way. That's a fun way to work on articulations. I'm not a big fan of like doing stuff like I'm not like a big fan of like slur two, tongue two, slur two. Like I don't know. That's not my thing. Like I come in here into this little space and like to have fun, play music. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of my time doing things that I wouldn't do. Now, if you're playing like an etude or something, etudes are great to pay attention to articulation, and they're a great way to like really be great at like obviously technically, but you can also work on your articulation. So there's if you like etudes, I like etudes. I work on them occasionally, and some other stuff. So that's another great way. Hope that helps. I will try to shorten my answers if I can, but to get them all to them all, but I promise I will get to them all. Okay. Um, is there a certain playing style or mouthpiece setup that can get me a 1920s or 30s big band sound? Um, okay. So it was fun. I was just talking to my buddy Sasha about this. And I think like I personally think like finding a mouthpiece like maybe some of you guys noticed, maybe you didn't, but I'm actually playing a new mouthpiece today. This is the first new mouthpiece I've gotten in. I've only owned like 2 or 3 mouthpieces my entire life. So, I'm actually trying out a new piece, a Ted Klum Florida model, and I really love it. I have my vintage Auto Link still right here. It's, here. It's not going anywhere. I'm gonna switch back and forth, but it gives me a little bit different of a sound. But it's more about the feel. Like I hear the timbre being slightly different. Like it's a notch, little brighter than the vintage link. That vintage hard rubber link is really dark. But we were talking about it, and I think we both kind of came to the conclusion like you can kind of make your sound like anybody you want, but it's all about the comfortability of what you're blowing. Like, are you comfortable blowing through your piece? Like, do you like it? And really, you want to get to like if you Big Hubby Bubby. This is an awesome name. If you want to sound like if you want to sound like a 1920s 30s like big band style, like first off probably listen to a ton of like Lester Young, Count Basie stuff, Duke Ellington stuff from before that, maybe Glenn Miller. um, pick a big band to think about, and really listen to how they're playing. Is their sound brighter, is it darker? I mean, there's a lot of ways to blend, and then so I would start with listening, like I've already said before, but also and then play along with it and try to sound like that, and make sure your setup is something you're comfortable with. Ultimately, like you want to like love your own sound, right? You want to enjoy hearing yourself, because if you enjoy it, I'm sure other people are really going to enjoy it, and that's probably the most important thing is your sound. So getting the sound that you're trying to emulate is really important, and then continuing to like feed into that. So I think I missed a question from Fu Oliver. Um, Sorry, Fu Oliver. Probably named just Oliver, but I like that. Or Fu Oliver. What's a good way to develop a better sense of location within a tune while focusing on improvisation? I see Alexander's got a question on YouTube. I'll get to yours next, Alexander. So the question again on Instagram here is, what's a good way to develop a better sense of location within the tune while focusing on improvisation? Okay, that's a great question, and I'm going to answer it in a bit of a roundabout way. But really, you need to learn a tune inside and out in order to not worry about focusing on improvisation. I hope that makes sense. So you want to be hearing a tune. You want to get a tune so far into your brain and into your being that you're not actually thinking about where you are in the tune. You actually can just sense everything. You can feel 4 bars go by. You can feel that 2/5 go by. Um, and how that looks is how you learn tunes. We kind of talked about this, like how do you learn? So some people learn visually. Like maybe you need to read a tune first, and maybe you need to do like play the melody. Like for me, I I've been approaching "I'll Be Seeing You." We talked about that. I've Gosh, I probably just will sit here with Drum Genius on. I can't play Drum Genius because it's on my phone, and my phone's attached to Instagram right now. but I'll just have a drummer playing ching 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 ching, right? And I'll just be playing bong do da ba boom dee, and I'll just play a melody over and over and over again. Um, and then I'll start doing different things. Like maybe I'll play like a bass line to it. Maybe I'll start I'll go back and forth from the melody to a bass line, so I'm not losing my spot. Um, here's another good way to do it. Like we could probably make this a whole entire 2-5 Tuesday, but what you could do is you could play 2 bars of the melody and then solo for 2 bars. Okay, and then play 2 bars of the melody and then solo for 2 bars. So what does that sound like? Let me show you a quick demonstration of this. Since we're been talking about I'll be seeing you so far all night, I'll just keep playing that, okay? Because it's good enough. So I'll do it for like 8 bars. Um, I'll start with the melody, and then I'll play something simple from a solo, and then I'm keeping my spot, right? All right, so here it goes. All right. All right. All right. I messed up one time in there, but I kept it pretty true. So I played 2 bars of the melody, then you heard me solo something. 2 bars of the melody and solo something. I try to keep it pretty simple, but then I started going a little bit digging a little deeper to make sure how can I get back to the melody, make it a little bit harder for myself. So I'm challenging myself. And you can do that in so many different ways. So you can just do for instance, like you could do 1 bar of the melody, then 3 bars of soloing, or 3 bars of the melody, then 1 bar of soloing, or you could do 4 bars of the melody, then 4 bars of soloing. What that's doing is it's giving you what you're saying is that sense of location within the tune. You're never leaving that tune. And you could do the same thing with like maybe you're just doing 2 bars of the melody, then 2 bars of a bass line. Okay. Um, okay, Oliver, I hope that helps. We have a question on YouTube. Should I learn licks in all 12 keys or just 4 or 5 which come up a lot in that certain progression? I'm a big fan of learning stuff in all 12 keys, Alexander. This is a question on YouTube. I think you should learn stuff in all 12 keys. Obviously, you always want to transpose stuff in all 12 keys. I think there's a there's something that happens when you play something in all 12 keys where maybe you're not going to play in A flat a lot, like you're not going to play in G flat concert a ton, but being familiar in G flat or A flat or something that might not come up too much, being able to be dexterous in that key can help you with other keys. So I always think there's like a ripple effect or a carryover of learning stuff. Plus you're working this out, right? Like if you're playing like something simple, just like if you're playing I'll play this line, right? If you're just playing something like that, and you I mean there's something with being able to hear that the next step up, right? So like do da ba ba dee ba da 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 ba do ba do da da ba dee da ba da, right? Right, and so I think that there is a point to learning stuff in all 12 keys. Now if it's a time if it's a time factor, don't worry about getting all 12 keys in at once. Maybe you take you learn 3 a day, and in 4 days you have all 12 of them. So I think it's important. I think there's other things that are as important or more important. So um but it just depends, like it depends on what your goals are, of course. But I do think it's really important, to say the least. All right, we got another question here. Um, do you have any tips? So this question is, do you have any tips to practice a standard? How long we have to practice and set a target, like for instance, a month? So, what's happening here? Um, So I it's interesting. When the more tunes you learn, the easier it is to memorize, in my opinion and in my experience. I feel like the more tunes that I learn, the more easily they kind of I'm able to basically catalog them in my brain. And I'm not someone who knows like 100 tunes. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't know like 100 tunes. Um, I probably know like 20 to 30 tunes like really, really well. Like, I'd put those on my A list. Like, I think of things as lists, like ABC. I've heard of this, like ABC, or having a list of shame. I have a list of shame for sure. We can go over that one day, or if anybody wants to ask questions about that. But I bet some of you be like laughing at me at some tunes I don't know. But so I have like an A list, a B list, and a C list, meaning like an A list is like tunes that you can call up. You can probably call them in multiple keys and I'm going to know them. There's probably about 20 to 30. 30 be pushing it, but somewhere around there. And my B list is like, okay, I know that tune, I know the melody, but I need to review it. Like, I would need to like dig in. And then C is like, I kind of know the melody, but if you asked me to play on it, I would probably just like, I would use my ear a lot to like hit the changes. Um, so it depends. Like, this goes back to, because it says, how long do we have to practice and set a target? You can try to learn. Some people try to learn too much. Like, I know with my students, like I'll keep them on a tune for a month and say, hey, okay, if we learn one tune a month, um, and let's say one tune's a little harder, so maybe we play on it for 2 months. But if we learn one tune a month, and a couple of them are difficult, maybe we're learning 10 tunes in a year. So 10 tunes in a year, that's like a whole set, right? And maybe but like I said, I find that, like, as I hear these things more, and as I hear the progressions more, then I start memorizing tunes a lot faster. Like, I'm like, oh, I hear that minor 2/5 going to the 6. Like, I can hear that, or I can hear the bridge coming, right? And I know it's going into like a minor key or whatever. So, and that's the same as blank key. Um, so you start hearing things a lot better. So I would say take your time on learning tunes and really have them down. Like, really, really know the melody and play the melody the way you want to play it. And maybe even play along with someone that you love, like one of your heroes playing it. So um, that would be, I would say, take your time with learning tunes, and as you get better at learning them, you're going to learn them faster. So um, okay, that hopefully that answers your question, Rita. Okay, next question here. We have a couple more. Um, okay, Krish. Um, okay, this one says, how much music theory should I know to do jazz improv? You can know zero. You can absolutely know zero improv, like, or excuse me, zero theory, and still be an amazing jazz musician. Like, I had a friend when I was in the army a long time ago who knew like no theory whatsoever. Like, he was struggling in theory class, but his ears were absolutely phenomenal, like the best ears ever. And he just shed. He would always just he would always transcribe Bird and Cannonball, and he was like one of the best alto players I've ever played with. So, and he didn't know much theory. He didn't see, the thing is, he knew it, but he didn't know he knew it. I hope that makes sense. Like, he knew theory, he knew it in here, and he knew it up here, but he didn't actually know what he was playing. Like, he didn't know he was playing a flat 9 over a 5 chord. He just knew the sound of it. So it's more important, in my opinion, to actually listen to the music, get ideas from the music, and then if you really want to know what's happening, then dig in afterward. But if you can hear it and you can play it, and you can play what you're hearing, right, which is also an important component, then why does it matter necessarily if you know a ton of theory? That's coming from someone who has a really, really heavy theoretical background. Like I used to study music theory all the time, and it didn't get me as far as I wanted to go. Like I kept running into roadblocks, and I didn't realize like, oh, I need to work on this. I need this more than like all the theory stuff. All right. I hope that helps you. That's from Kishana or Kishan Alto. So yeah, that's my suggestion with that. More questions. We got them going on. Okay. Here's one from Rita. If you're in a small apartment slash hotel room, how do we not bother our neighbors? Okay. So I've heard Seth. Hey, what's up, Seth? I heard you know, people putting like a towel in their bell. You can do that. That's all I know. I think they make these silencer things, that, like, are like a case, actual case that you stick your hands in, like your horns in your case, and you can still blow in your mouthpiece. If someone knows the name of that, put it in the chat. But, like, I've seen, like, something like that. I don't know how well they work. I'm sure there's a YouTube video on it, but you could try stuffing a towel in your bell, but you're not gonna be able to play, like, low notes, like low B flat will be nearly impossible to get out if you have like a towel stuffed all the way down there. Great question though. Um, okay, so we have all right. Okay. Oh, this is just a nice comment. By the way, I really like your 2-5 licks. They're so inspiring. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Sax Mute. Hey, that's a great name for it. Sax Mute. Someone wrote in there. What was that wrote it? Evan. Thanks, Evan. Evan, what woodwinds? Yeah. Sax Mute. Check out the Sax Mute. I don't know if you want to travel with one of those, probably big, but if you have an apartment and you can't practice, some people, like, there's all these different iwis out right now. Like there's an MEO, which is like a practice instrument. I have one. It feels like a Mark 6 alto. It's like based off of a Mark 6 alto. All these other types of iwis, like Yamaha has one. I think Roland has a couple different ones. So those you can actually plug headphones in and you can practice and have really cool sounds. That's another way to practice and not make a lot of noise. Well, you won't make any noise. It'll just basically keys will be being hit, but nobody will hear you. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so someone writes in here, am I even Dawson? What do you do? What do you need to be able to play well? Going back to listening, just listen, like listening and trying to emulate some of your favorites, and really keep things simple at first. Like don't try to play. I personally think don't not trying, and I'm guilty of this. So I'm not trying to say like I'm not doing this or I'm above this, because I am guilty of this. Trying to play sometimes things I can't play, or trying to play things that like are out of your reach, or you're just kind of shooting in the wind, like you're just bullshitting. Like try not to do that. Try to keep things within your like element, and play rhythmic, accurate, like grooving things, and you're gonna sound good. And you'll learn from there. We got a lot of questions today. This is awesome. Okay. 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 So, C Young 93 asks, I know that you've mentioned Walter Smith III as one of your favorite players. Would love to hear you talk a bit more about his playing and your favorite solos of his. Love me some Walter Smith. Oh, who doesn't love him, man? First off, like, if you like his playing, I mean, if you don't like his playing, whatever, but his playing is amazing. But he's actually one hell of a dude. Like, he's super nice guy. He's hilarious. Like, even in person, like I've taken a couple lessons from him, and he's just really funny and just really, really nice. Like a really nice dude. But if most of the people on Instagram probably know who he is, he's got one of the funniest Instagram pages ever, and he plays like these standards behind these funny videos, and it's all the composition is amazing. Honestly, C Young, a lot of my favorite solos come off of that album. I love his On the Trail solo. I'm actually transcribing his I'll Be Seeing You solo. That's why I've got it on my mind today and most days, because I've been listening to it like a ton and just really getting it down. But yeah, his playing is he just has this ability to be so flexible with time, and like I said, he's so playful with articulation and the way that he kind of I'm analyzing some of the stuff, some of the lines I'm learning from him, and it's interesting the way that he mixes and matches kind of goes. He's able to go in and out of like harmony so smoothly. So I'm trying to I'm listening for stuff like that and kind of hearing that. But yeah, love Walter Smith. If you guys haven't checked him out, please do. All of his stuff is amazing. But I've just been digging into that album so much. I'm sorry I can't like talk much about anything else because that's been on my mind mostly. But yeah, one of my favorites for sure. Um, okay, this is a question I actually kind of answered this already. Paul Lynn. How can I improve my improv skills as someone with very little theory knowledge? Like I said, oh, what's up, Gustav from Brazil? I was wondering what time is it in Brazil right now? Thanks, man. Thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was funny. Like I got a lot of people from Brazil. I was always curious what hey from Mexico, how you doing? Just curious what time it is in Brazil. I probably could look it up, but I figured I'd ask tonight. Cuba, yes, right on. Um, so I already answered this question about how can I improve my improv skills with very little theory. Um, oh wow, wow, it's really late there. Okay, I thought it was. I didn't think it was that far from my time. Um, okay, so when was it? Where was that? You don't need much theory knowledge at all to be a great improvisational player or jazz player or whatever, or funk or anything like that. You really need to build your ears up. You really need to listen to like some of the masters and emulate them. Like that's really the big focus. Like you're gonna hear me say that. You're gonna hear people that are like way beyond me. Patrick Bartley says this. Like, talk to Bob Reynolds. We talked about Walter Smith. Like, talk to any of these people. It's Seamus. Like, well, Seamus is interesting. I don't know. Seamus did some transcribing, but I feel like Seamus just is like he's on a whole nother planet. Like that guy's amazing. Um, but most people that you study with or that you'll talk about or see on YouTube or see on Instagram, they're going to tell you a lot of the same stuff. And it's because that's the way. Like before Charlie Parker was, Lester Young, let's say, and there were records out. And the only way for people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy and all these people coming up, Red Rodney, Clifford Brown, Kenny Durham, like John Coltrane, they had to like get stuff live and try to like remember it and then bring it back home into their instrument and then play, or they had to listen to records at full speed. And I think they could slow records down. I'm not sure how records player used to work, but I know you can slow them down now. And then try to emulate what they're doing off of that. Like Cannonball had to do that with like Bird and stuff, right? So nothing's changed. Like the way that this music is played, it's you know, it's evolved a bit, but those people that we all listen to, like Cannonball, Bird, Dizzy, Sonny Rollins, Sonny Stitt, like they would all be monsters today. They would still be looked at the same way. So the way that they learned isn't, why not learn exactly how they learned, which is listening to the people were inspired by and trying to emulate that. So no theory knowledge needed if you're going to do that. And I think that's the best way to getting to that. All right. Okay, so how do I make my my practice time more efficient and effective? Very good. Okay, that's a great question. Actually have a really good answer to that. I think I would say a really good answer, but you guys can be the judge of that. So what I have here is some note cards. I'll show these note cards here. There's some note cards there. Here's some note cards. All right, and I have 4 of them. These are 4 things, 4 note cards, and they have a bunch of stuff on there. These are practice techniques that I've used. And this is, I can't take credit for this. I got this from Jeff Elwood, who got it from like Pat LaBarbera or something like that. And so what I have on here are things that I've done in practice that I do that I'm familiar with, that I do fairly well. So I have bass lines written on here. I have motivic development. I have, let me see what's on this one. I have um, holding tension tones, meaning like holding specific, like if I want to hold a flat 9 over every dominant chord, that's what I'm going to do. So basically I have things that I can easily do. I'll say easily in like quotation marks because sometimes it can be difficult. So I'm not trying to learn new things every time I come in the practice room. If you do that, you're gonna be too far ahead of where you are currently, and you're gonna feel like you're in no man's land or no person's land. You're gonna feel like you're in outer space. I've talked to Seamus about this once. I don't mean to name drop. I'm just trying to tell you, it's not about name dropping. I honestly am just trying to, like, my advice isn't always my advice. It's from people. I want to give the people credit that I've heard it from. So it's not like you guys think I'm just making this stuff up. I want you to, this comes from people that I truly am inspired by, that I've studied with, that I think are like the people who I trust, right? So, and hopefully you guys trust my advice. So Seamus talks about like having one foot in the door and having one foot out of the door. Meaning, like, if we're practicing stuff that we're really familiar with, that's the foot inside the house or inside the door, and then we take a step outside and we visit that stuff for a while, we still have one foot in the door. If both of our feet are out of the door, then where are we? Like, what's grounding you? What's keeping you from going too far beyond where you are? Um, so Yes. So that is part of what I believe is what you should do when you're practicing. You can be efficient and effective with new things, but if you're never revisiting the stuff that you really, really, truly know, that's your foundation. So I hope I'll answer the question in a little different way, but I hope that helps. I don't know if that helps. Either way, it'll help somebody, hopefully. But I think always revisiting something that you're familiar with. Like I said, I have like bass lines on here. So one day I might just come in and I'll be like, boom, I'm going to work on these bass lines over a tune and see how well I can play them, or see how I can hit my quarter notes, like just really sound like. But another way is, and I've talked about this before, base your practice off of your goals. What are your goals? So Edgar, you asked the question, what are your goals? Be honest with yourself, write them down. I have them written on a board here. Do something every day that's going to get you closer to one of those goals. I can't think of a more effective and efficient way to like play if you're shooting for your goals. So that's that would be my advice there. There's other things. I'm pretty sure if you look on my YouTube channel, I don't mean to send you there and send you away from here, but if you check it out, I'm pretty sure I have a way practice goals, and I also have like talk about like time and efficiency. You can use timers and things like that. I don't think that was your question, but you could, if you wanted to, like if you had 30 minutes, you could set a timer, 3 10-minute timers, 10 minutes on sound, 10 minutes on transcription, and then 10 minutes on a tune you're working on, improv on tune. So there's stuff you can do like that. But I think if you're always revisiting stuff that you know and mastering that, and then you're also working towards your goals, you can't really go wrong. All right. Thanks for the question, Edgar. Okay. Oh, wow. We have a lot of questions. Okay. This is what do you need to be able to hear in order to play changes well? I think having the melody in your ear all the time is important. I think having either the drums or the bass. So if you can hear the drums all the time, that's keeping your rhythm. So that's good. If you can hear the bass, that's also keeping your rhythm, but you also can maybe hear some harmony too. So, um, but I think having the melody in your ear and in your head, like throughout the tune, is really, really important, because then you know where you're going. Like you don't want to be reactively playing. You don't want to like hear a chord and then play something. You want to be proactive. You want to be leading into it, or even anticipating it. Okay. Here we go. Next one. How can I make better and complex licks? Okay, that's a great question. Do what I do. Like, not saying I'm doing anything like revolutionary here. I'm writing lines for people and I'm just creating them. And I think if we look back at like line 1, and I think I just put out like, or I just recorded like line 81 or something, I think you're gonna see like a development of what I'm hearing, my harmonic palette and rhythmic palette. So start writing lines down. Yeah, why not? Like write your own lines or use pieces of my line, because all of my lines aren't fully organic. Like a lot of them are now. They're like my voice, but shoots. Okay, hopefully that comes back. I hit my limit on Instagram. Jesus. This is wow, this is like we're at like an hour 10 minutes. This is the longest one I've ever done. Am I back on Instagram or am I good? You guys good? Either way, um the question was, how can I make better and complex licks? Start writing lines. Like, I don't think all of my lines are like super killing, but they're serving a purpose, which is I'm hearing, I'm creating something I'm hearing in my head, and and that's the goal. So I can like now read music from writing all these lines, and I can now look at a piece of music like, and I can hear that in my head now, like just the intervals and things like that. But if your goal is to make better and complex licks and put them into your playing, write your own lines, get your own voice going, and see where that takes you. All right, I am losing my voice. Jeez, oh Pete. Okay, what should okay, let me see if I can read this right. What should we be able to approach the arpeggiate upper extensions and integrate them into my improvisation? I'm really stuck with scales. Um, So start. I think what you're asking, how to like get more arpeggio, like vertical playing. So it sounds like you do like more linear. This is from Gustav. Uh, it sounds like you do more like linear playing, meaning like scale oriented stuff versus arpeggio or like vertical, right? Vertical playing. Um, so one way you can do it is you can think about different voicings. So like for instance, uh, so if we have a G, G on the G7 on the tenor, so F7, you could think about like how can I play um like a voicing with using an upper extension. So like here's like just a 1 3 5 7, right? Right. So we have that. That's just 1 3 5 7. But how can we make upper extensions in that? Right. So maybe we do something like this, right? Right? So that's 1 7. So I'm going 1 to 7. So 1 to flat 7. Remember, we're in a dominant chord. 1 flat 7, and I'm going to 3, and then I'm playing the 13. Right? And maybe take that around the circle. So I mean, I haven't actually practiced that. I just, I just that was pretty cool. Um, I'm just thinking of ways. I'm thinking of really what I got that from was like I was thinking about a piano voicing and what would sound cool. John Ellis does this a lot, so I can't take full credit for this, but I've transcribed him enough where I think what he's doing in some of his stuff is he's playing a piano voice and then playing it on the saxophone. I think Melissa Aldana like kind of plays with stuff like this from what I've heard in her playing. Like she'll think of like big intervals and like vertical stuff because she's super into Mark Turner. Um, and I'm not saying this is exactly what these people are doing. This is what I'm speculating from my ears and from me like trying to figure it out on the on the other side of things. But if you ever run into either of those two, feel free to ask them. I actually, yeah, if I ever get a lesson from them, I'll let you guys know. But so I would try stuff like that, like, or just playing with the upper arpeggio, like the upper extensions. That's a hard thing. You should do that. I will say this right now, Gustav. Like you should do that with harmony behind you. So it's one thing to be able to play like roots, thirds, fifths, and play like um a tune. But when you're playing with upper extensions like ninths, 11ths, 13ths, and maybe even with different alterations, you have to be aware that like there needs to be some harmony underneath you, because if there's not any harmony underneath you, like you might not be like really hearing the changes, and you want to be hearing the changes over that extension stuff, over those upper extensions, because that's not easy to hear from the people that I know that do play with a lot of upper extension playing. And I don't, like, I will play with alterations, but I'm not like, like Michael Brecker, where he makes upper extensions. He can make a whole entire solo sound like amazing with upper extension type of chords, or tones, I mean. So definitely have some harmony underneath you, so it's making sense. You want your ears to hear that for sure. Great question though. Okay, we got two more questions. Do you have trouble listening and playing at the same time? How do you develop your ear? Um, do I have trouble? I would say like maybe I used to. I'm not sure. Listening and playing at the same time. Yeah, I mean it's not the easiest thing. Like if you're talking about like, I think I think you're talking about like maybe listening and playing, like listening to like what the rhythm section is doing and then playing. So that all comes with like all of us musicians, we all have to kind of have more than one thing going on at once, right? Like drummers have like a really hard job, right? They can use all four of their extremities at once, and all of them could be doing different things, which is really freaking hard. Like just try it. Try stomping your foot, clapping your hands and singing something, and you'll understand how difficult a drummer's job is, right? But for us, like, one thing we can do is we can use our ears to hear rhythm and lock that in, maybe even tap your foot and then play something simple. So, Dawson, you're asking all these great questions, like about how to get somewhere, how do you develop certain things? Like, yeah, I know you've asked a couple questions already. It's all about playing things that are simple to you and then adding a component to it. So if you're having trouble listening and playing, let's say put a blues on, put like whatever your favorite key is, put that blues on, listen to it. Don't play anything. Then maybe sing something. So you're doing something along with listening. Then grab your horn or whatever you play and just play one note per bar, and like listen to and don't even worry about like if the note's right or wrong. Just try to get yourself to hear something but also play something at the same time. So you're practicing that skill, and then slowly build on that. We don't have to, I think, and I'm guilty of this. Everything I say that I'm including myself in this. I am not perfect whatsoever. um and I've learned a lot of stuff over the years. So you know that would be always keep things simple. I think we try to make things way too complex way too quickly, and we don't keep things simple enough. So try keeping things as simple as possible, and then move on to more difficult things. But that simple stuff, the foundational stuff, needs to be there in order to have some foundation. If you're, like I said, one foot in the door, one foot out of the door, right? Always keep some of yourself inside, and maybe even take that foot that's outside of the door, bring it back in, take a step back. Even you trust me, you're going to move forward even if you take a step back. I know that might not make sense, but sometimes we need to let it sink in up there. And sometimes you might be practicing something for a long time, and 3-4 months down the road it might click, and then you're like, whoa, I haven't touched that stuff in like 3 weeks, but all of a sudden I'm doing it. The brain is a fascinating, amazing thing. Okay, we have one more question. All right, last question, back again. Yeah, thanks for being back. I don't know if you remember me. I'm the trumpet player, and you helped with a ton on my improv. I finally got to play in my high school combo. If you wanted to give some feedback, or on it, or I can DM you. Yeah, yeah. DM me the video. Wait, are you the one requesting? No. Okay. Chick Boy Korea is requesting. All right, let's see if we can get this. He's unable to join. Okay. So the question, yeah, I'm glad you were helped, Andre. I think it's Andre, right? Yeah, I'm super stoked. Yeah, I'm glad that that I helped you with your improv. I'm glad you got to play with your high school combo. That stuff is like that's the coolest. These are the coolest messages to get. So thank you so much. So we are gonna wow, this session was 80 minutes long. Holy moly. Jeez. Thank you all for hanging out. One more time, I will plug this one more time. I will probably only mention it one more time, like one time, uh, as I leave. But I do have a new Patreon. If you want to subscribe to it, there's some free stuff involved, and I would appreciate it. This helps. It helps a ton to be a part of this community and be accepted and be and have so many questions. Like this was amazing. I appreciate all you guys and gals, and I will see you next week. So just remember, always positive, always progressing. Until next time, later.